when you have genuinely good friends and you like tell them, oh, you did something that offended me, you say, oh, like I wish you guys invited me to something like this, and they actually are your good friends, they're gonna speak to you. They're gonna make sure, like, oh no, no, we did want you there, but this came up, and something along those lines just happened with my friend. And it's not like any insult in any way. Like he's not being a shit friend. But I explained to him like why something he's done was like a bit annoying to me. And he also said like his side. And then we said like, okay, I know you're busy right now. I said this to him. Let's just talk about this in person. Like it's not urgent. And I just said like, and we were talking and like obviously I just said, yeah, lots of love, bro. Like I'm still gonna be good friends with him. Now I want this to stay in your mind for the rest of like the day, because if you can't message your friend and say like, yo, what you did today, like that was really fucked up, like you told everybody I like this girl, or something happens and you can't talk about it, then you need to really think like, what have I where have I gone wrong? Like, why don't my friends treat me well? Why don't they respect me? And the thing is, you might have, like, my friends may treat me quite differently to certain other people because we've built this relationship. We've been close for a long time. You can't just say to somebody who you've never spoken to before, oh, why didn't you invite me to this party or something? Now, that's not necessarily what I said to my friend. It's a much more, like, nuanced, complex than that. But I promise you, you want to get to the point in life where all of a sudden, all the friends you have are really like, they really care about you. And it's not like a care about you when it's convenient for them, but like almost all the time they're gonna like try and do their best for you as long as you communicate that clearly. I remember like 4 years ago, I wasn't even sure if my own friends liked me. And if you're not sure and you can't ask, then they're probably not a good friend. Now there is one nuance to this. You don't want to be that super insecure guy who you're always like wondering, oh, do my friends even like them? You don't want to be insecure because more often than not, you're just overthinking it, and that overthinking is gonna make it harder for you to make friends. But when you're really close with somebody and you've been hanging out for a while, and then there's something that like puts you off, something that somebody does that might bother you a little, then it's completely fine in that scenario to just say that to them and like say, oh yeah, you really bothered me by saying this. Like my mate, I told him my ATAR, and I was like, yeah, I just don't want to talk about it. Like I don't want to tell anyone what it is. And he like brought it up in front of like a table of like six other guys. And on that moment, in that moment right there, I was like, what the fuck was that? Like that was dog. We spoke about this. He hasn't brought it up since. But I said no, like no, you need to apologize right now. You need to, like that was wrong. I told you that in private. I don't care like that. Yeah, like it's just my ATAR. It's not that deep. It wasn't that bad. Even he said like, oh, it's not that bad. I don't know why you're being like that, mate. But I did tell him specifically, like, I really don't want you to tell anybody what I got. And he just did it anyways. So since then he hasn't, because like that's just dog, I told him like that was wrong, so he's like, okay. But that only happens when you have good friends. I swear, when you say that to somebody who's not like a good mate and they're not a good person, they just don't listen to you. Today I was gonna upload this morning, but my mate is leaving. So I knew that I needed to get some kind of upload out. And I thought that this time I would go off the dome. Because you know what's really unique? Okay, this is like a little bit of a separate point to what I was just saying. You know that guy who everybody respects? Like they just always want him there. That guy, that guy lives so much of a better life than somebody who isn't respected, who isn't likable. But the thing is, even when you're that guy, you put in the work to become that guy. It's not like things are never gonna be hard. Like let's say for the last month I've been invited to everything my friends have gone to, except for this one thing that's coming up in like 6 months, and I'm gonna be invited to everything that goes on for the next 6 months because I'm just not part of that group. That is the experience of like when you're quite a likable person or when you're very close with your friends. But the experience that some guys have with their friends when they're not, like when they don't know if they can trust them or if they don't know if they're close, it's more of like they don't even know if they're going to be invited. They don't even know if they've been excluded in the last week from like some kind of function or event. Now, I do think it's extremely important to be lighthearted and easygoing and not worry too much. Like when you worry about this shit, it brings your life down so much. Because most of the time, your good friends aren't doing it, or like, dude, it's not impossible for me and my mate to be hanging out by ourselves and to not invite like the third mate if we just want some alone time. But if I invite like all of the boys, like 8 boys on a night out, you know what? I'm not gonna lie, it might be possible I don't invite one of the guys. But that might just be because like, oh, I didn't think he would come, or I just forgot. Like it truly slipped my mind. It didn't mean I wouldn't have had a better time if he was there, if I loved his company. Sometimes it genuinely slips people's mind. And that is like, it's pretty sad when that happens to you, when none of your boys brought it up. But that's not going to happen to you if you keep like building your connections and you're nice to everybody. That's just not ever going to happen to you. And if it does, it'll be out of like the 1,000 times that you've hung out, one time you won't be invited. And in that scenario, then it's not deep. It's not deep when, you're always invited, but this one time, your boys thought you were locked in for boxing, so they didn't ask you. Whereas before, it was just like all of the time was out of the blue. That's what I had to say today. Being excluded from things sucks. So yeah, this was kind of a video attributed to that. If you're interested in more social skills content, more up mood advice, I just wanted to get an upload out today. Like, subscribe, like, whatever, comment. Thank you for watching, bro. Hope you have a great night.